This is Orsi, official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. It's for women too. Each week, I bring you a special guest to help you create that life that you imagine for yourself and those that you love. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships, and sex, vices, and other topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Also, if you want to know 3 ways to get laid more frequently without begging, go to oldguytalks.com and opt in. When you do, you're going to get my informative video on 3 simple things you can do to get laid more frequently without begging, so you don't have to turn in your man card. And ladies, you may want your man to know these things, because I think you'll like them too. Additionally, you'll be notified weekly when a new podcast episode is ready for you to consume. Periodically, I will share with you other stuff that will help you create that life that you want for yourself and those that are important to you. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, and review this podcast. Did you know that there are 76 additives that have been approved by the FDA that can be added to wines? You want a wine with shit in it that may not be good for you? Well, there is an option for wines that have been produced naturally, organically, that have been tested, that have no sugar. And when they don't have any sugar, that means that they're ketosis and intermittent fasting friendly. These wines have been produced with a great deal of care on small farms and are available to you. How do you get them? Find out by going to www.oldguytalks.com/dry farms, all one word with an S, and find out more. And with your initial order, you can get a bottle for 1 penny. That's right, a bottle for 1 penny. And they taste great. They taste great. Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. Get those wines now. This is Orsi, official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And, well, a big part of that is, what do you think? What do you think? Take a big guess. I suspect that 80% of you will get it right on the first time. It's sex. Sex, I say. And today I have Susan Bratton. She's been on my podcast before. She's a trusted, hot sex advisor to millions. I mean, hot. She brings passion back into couples' lives, and Susan and the old guy are going to go and talk a little bit about the passion patch and touching. Of course, it's got to be consensual touching, right? Yeah. And she's an intimacy wellness expert and is a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion in their whole life long. And she's done a lot of stuff. She's written several books on lovemaking and talks about techniques in the bedroom, communication skills, sexual vitality, and talks about sexual soulmates, relationship magic, revive her passion, ravish him, and hormone balancing. So among other, there's a whole bunch of stuff there on her website, which we're going to have in the program notes. So let me ask you to start off. This is why I started asking my guests this. What's the most important thing you've done today?
Went out for lunch with my husband and had tacos. It's Taco Tuesday, Arist.
Uh-huh.
And we walked over to the beach and we peered down into the ocean and we kissed. And we held hands. We went for a walk, we had lunch, and we held hands and we kissed. That's the most important thing I've done today.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds great. Yeah. So Susan, let's kind of lay some groundwork up. Why are climaxes important for men and women?
Well, they reboot your nervous system, calm you down. They lengthen your telomeres, Orist. I just read that it actually, great sex makes you age better, which I'm all for, especially you. You can call yourself the old guy. I'm old too, but I don't call myself the old lady. Oh, hell no.
Hell no, not no.
And it's great for your prostate. You get to move everything through and clean it all out. It makes you less grumpy. And it also makes your woman less grumpy and cranky. So that's in and of itself really all you need to know, I think.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just generally good for your health across many, many different facets, including that it's a vascular event. So anything that's good for heart health is good for longevity and anti-aging too.
Sure, sure.
But it
So
just makes you happy, Orist.
it just makes you happy. It puts a
Yes.
smile on your face.
Yes.
And and on her face too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about touching and the passion patch. And we're going to kind of talk into it. One of the things that people sometimes start, especially guys, they get ahead of themselves. They don't let the other person warm up. And you use an interesting word in the passion patch. Talked about seduction. I'm not even sure we're able to say that word still anymore. I don't. But
well, I like the word seduction.
Oh, I do too. I think it's a great one.
I think it's a man's job to seduce his woman because you are ahead of us. And you hold the torch for desire and sex. And the problem is that when guys ask for sex, they get rejected because they're further along. They're already turned on. They wake up every morning horny, where when we women, we go through a 28-day cycle, even after menopause. We have days we're hornier than other days. And we're also not socially programmed to initiate sex. And interestingly enough, women tell me all the time that they are dropping hints that they want to have sex with their partners, but their partners can't read those signs. They're too subtle. And that makes it difficult as well. So a lot of times guys will stop asking for sex because they're just sick of getting rejected. And if they don't instigate and they want her to instigate and they wait for her to instigate, sex never happens. And then they end up kind of estranged, and then they stop touching each other at all. And then intimacy turns into a platonic relationship, and there's two grumpy people in the house.
Right. And there's definitely not any sex coming on. That's for sure.
But seduction is moving your partner toward pleasure. The thing is that because men are testosterone dominant, they need to move more slowly and come back and meet women where we are, way back behind you, and then help us move toward more, move us up the arousal ladder. So a lot of times the touch techniques are also a little too advanced for us. And I actually wrote the passion patch as kind of a way of getting guys to trust that I could help them get their wife to want them for sex again. I have a program called Revive Her Drive that's been very successful for me. And it costs $97. It's not cheap.
Sure.
And guys are like, I don't know, I think my wife's broken. I probably ain't gonna work for me, even though it's worked for thousands and thousands and thousands of guys, because I basically explain how to get her going again, what it is that she's missing, that she didn't get, that she needs to want him for sex. But the passion patch is it's what is it, $9.99? I think I gave you a special link.
Right, yeah.
As a discount link. And it gives a guy those early wins that shows him there's hope. So it really is the one place to touch her, to arouse her in 30 seconds flat. And what it does is it helps you figure out where that place is on your partner's body. Because the interesting thing is that each one of us, generally women like to be touched in certain places, but individually we have different ways we like to be touched, ways we like to be approached, and ways that touch moves us toward pleasure. And the passion patch is really a stealth seduction technique. Because I always say to guys, the last thing I want you to do is be like, I'm going to seduce you, or I'm trying a stealth seduction trick. Like, you zip, zip, zip the lips. Don't say anything. You're going to be using your body to remind her body how much she actually likes it when you touch her.
Absolutely.
So I move them from touching to get sex to touching for her pleasure and his pleasure. It's kind of like going back to the baseline. It's reminding the old gal that she likes you again. And that's very powerful. And guys get ahead of themselves. You said it, guys, we get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that, you know, that whole romancing, as you get more and more into relationships, that goes away with time.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, is that couples are not romancing, and they're not having fun.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, and you know, you can certainly understand that, you know, you got a lot of pressures, you know, you got kids, all sorts of stuff and things like that. But if you want to have intimacy in a relationship, you got one is to bring intimacy. If you bring the intimacy, like spiritual, emotional, and physical intimacy, then the sex will show up. But if you go like for sex right away, it just ain't going to happen.
Well, and I think a lot of guys who haven't been getting laid are too cranky to bother romancing their wife because they're pissed off at her. Which is why I do have a book called 30 Romance Tricks That Work Like Magic to Get You Laid. And I tell you, one of the things that I've done is an exhaustive study of romance. And I've looked at all the things that are romantic. And there's actually 5 different categories of romantic gestures and actions. But only some of them actually move you down the field toward sex. Most of them are just fun, nice. They make you feel good about being in a relationship. And I'm an intimacy expert. I help people transform having sex into making love. I help people revive their sex life. I help people have hot sex. That's what I do. So I care less about the romantic stuff. I mean, I think it's nice, but that's not what people want from me. They're like, how do I get laid?
Yeah.
So the passion patch, I think, is a more direct strike, if you will, to the heart of the matter, which is my wife stays up and watches TV, so she won't have to be in the bedroom with me, or we're now sleeping in separate rooms, or she's completely controlling the one time a week, month, quarter, year I get laid. You know, when you're down to this kind of like bottom of the barrel and you're getting scraps, what do? Where did it go wrong? And how do you remediate it? Can you remediate it? And the very first thing that I want to do is make a guy get some instant wins. And that's what the passion patch is about. It's not about going all the way back to romance. You know how to do that. You just have to do it. But you don't even want to do it till you get some wins. So for me, the passion patch is get the wins. See her responding to you again like she used to. And that's why I like the kind of stealth piece of it, because you don't have to have any conversations, which means you don't have to have any conflict. Because you know, if you get into a conversation with your wife, you're going to lose.
Right.
You're just going to lose. And there you go, losing again. And that's not my intention. My intention is to make you the winner. So for the win, the passion patch is the answer. And what's interesting about it is that I give you a couple things in there. One of the things I give you is the actual physical approach to your wife, which is a very interesting thing. When you touch her in the way I teach you in the passion patch, I give you the technique to figure out what it is that's going to trigger her desire. Because I always say that every relationship is like a snowflake. Yours is completely different than anyone else's. So I don't know which thing it's going to be. So you've got to try a couple of things to see which one's the one she responds to.
Sure.
But before you start with those, it's, does she want you to walk directly up to her? Does she want you to come from the side? Is it the left side or the right side that is her open side, or is it from behind her? From behind her is the least common side. Most women
Mm,
don't like the sneak attack.
sure.
But a couple do. They think that's the most romantic thing in the world. So when you learn your wife's approach dynamic, that is step one. And I teach you exactly how to do it in the book. And it's very simple. And you can do it without her even noticing, which I think is very important. And then I give you how to figure out what it is that's going to make her like thrill to you. That's going to make her body be like, oh, I forgot I like that.
Hmm.
Oh, him. I forgot I like him.
Yeah. So and you talk about this a little bit about why the a limbic connection is more important than a rational one. And this, I
Yeah,
think, this kind of goes to what you were just saying,
yeah,
that it's really kind of the subtle approach where you're really seducing someone without really telling them that you're doing that,
right.
which is
Yeah. Limbic connection is feeling each other. It's you feel her in your body. Often when you remember those times you were giving her incredible orgasms, you were
mm,
really tuned into her. You were
mhm,
using biofeedback. You were listening to the sounds that she made. You were getting a lot of information that was non-verbal.
right.
And the limbic connection is a major part of that. Feeling her, she's feeling you, feeling her. She knows you're tuned into her. It's a big part of attention,
Hmm.
which women crave from our men. We want your attention. You're so busy, you're working, you're doing, you're trying to create all the things you want to create in your life. And we sometimes feel starved for your attention, both emotional as well as physical. And you can't be in limbic connection without being fully present, because sexuality and lovemaking are mindfulness practices.
Hmm.
She knows the minute you're worrying about something from the past or catastrophizing something in the future, or
Sure.
you've checked out or what have you. And I think for a lot of men, the anger and the victimhood, which are two emotions that you've been allowed to have as men, they end up being what comes out when you're not having the kind of great sex that you used to have or want to have now. And when you have anger and victimhood, rather than living in empathy for the fact that whatever happened in the past, whatever you've been doing that didn't work, you've got to move beyond that and you've got to
Mhm.
start over fresh. And when you start over fresh and you get present and you're paying attention to her and you're connected with her and you're right there with her, she feels it, and you can begin to tap into the biofeedback that's available for you to give her pleasure.
Mhm.
Because if I know one thing about guys, they will give up their own pleasure to give their partner pleasure. They
Mhm.
are, men get a bad rap, an unfair rap about being selfish in bed or what have you. No way. I just don't buy it. I know men too well. What you want is to thrill and delight her. So these are essentially the shortcuts. The passion patch is a shortcut to getting her kick started for her
Mhm.
desire for you again, and remembering that she loves feeling you, feeling her.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times um, that's the part that gets missed, is that you got to lay the groundwork for that. And I think that what you do in the passion patch with touching is really does lay the path for that, and allows for a warm up period for a woman, which is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some very interesting things about touch. One is this notion of touching for rapture, where a lot of times men touch women for effect. I'm going to touch you to make you feel good, to get a result because I want the result. Instead of, I'm touching you because it feels so good to me to touch you. Can you feel the pleasure I'm getting from my experience of feeling how good you feel.
Sure.
That when you get back to that, that's really important. Another really important thing about touch is that there are different kinds of touch. There's nurturing touch, healing touch, sensual touch, and sexual touch. And often when a man is trying to have a sexual experience, he's starting with sexual touch.
Right.
And that's too fast for us. So dialing it back to nurturing, loving, even healing touch. I know for me that before I start a lovemaking date with my husband, I scan my body and I think about what hurts. What's going to stand in the way of me surrendering to my complete and total pleasure with my husband? Sometimes it's my feet. Sometimes it's my neck. Usually it's my feet or my neck. Sometimes it's my lower back. And he'll say, what do you need rubbed? And we'll just start with whatever that is so we can clear that through. So there's a real clean channel of pleasure and nothing's kind of catching me.
Sure.
And stopping me from feeling the pleasure. And that's the nurturing touch or the healing touch. That's the beginning of the arousal ladder. Orgasms can only occur when we get the kind of stimulation we need. But the stimulation can only occur when we begin in a foundation of relaxation. And a lot of guys have over the years erroneously come to think that they need to turn, if they want to turn you on, they need to stimulate you. I need to twirl her knobs or push her buttons. And so they go right for our breasts, our genitals. And what we actually need is to be relaxed and nurtured and loved first. So that we can get into the mode of stimulation. So I have a technique I teach men called the bullseye touch technique. Essentially, I say, imagine a bullseye with the rings, with the center that you're shooting for. For you, you'd like it if she touched your penis immediately, because for you, that's comforting. All right.
Yes.
I'm going to get some action. This feels good. I want my penis touched. But for her, grabbing her genitals, grabbing at her breasts, it pushes her away because she needs her hair stroked, her arms stroked, her hand held, her feet rubbed, her back rubbed, her butt rubbed, her legs rubbed, her belly rubbed before you go to breasts and genitals. Kiss my eyelids, kiss my forehead, kiss my cheeks, peck my lips. Don't stick your tongue down my throat. And for the masculine, because he's testosterone dominant, he wants to go full speed ahead. And so I always say, the number one sex technique I can teach you is to slow down and turn around and come back and get me and bring me get me where you are. I'm not there. So the bullseye touch technique is a very, very good visualization for men to remember. So stimulation begins in relaxation. Start from the outside and work your way in. You're further ahead than she is. Seduction's not a dirty word. It's a slow warm up toward pleasure. These are fundamental things that the masculine is really not taught. He's taught, you need to romance her first, but that's kind of bullcrap because it's not really romance that she needs. It's limbic connection, presence, slow arousal, the right kind of touch for her that makes her thrill to you. And that's why I think the passion patch is so powerful, because it gives you the answer to the question of what turns your woman on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's, I think the important thing is to really slow down and to take your time, and you're going to get there. The other way, if you're in a hurry, there's a good chance you're not going to get there.
Yeah, it's funny. I come from Pennsylvania originally, and we have the Pennsylvania Dutch, and they have funny little sayings. And my very favorite one is, the hurrier we go, the behinder we get.
Uh-huh.
And I just had a guy who slid into my DMs on Instagram, and he said, which if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Susan Bratton, my name. And he said, well, I followed your advice and it worked even better than I could have possibly imagined. She came so hard and so fast. And I said, what'd I tell you? Because I get a lot of it. He said, slow down. My job is easy, Orest. It's not complicated. It's just translating the feminine into the masculine. You know?
Sure. So Susan, I just want to tell you, everyone, that the Passion Patch is available at the standard.academy/erogenous, and make sure you spell erogenous correct. It's 1 R and 2 N's in it. And we'll make sure that you get that. And Susan, if people want to follow you, where would they do that? You said on Instagram?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, but I think my videos at betterlover.com are really excellent. And you can find me at personallifemedia.com, which is my main website that has thousands of articles on anything sexual you could possibly imaginable, searchable by keywords. So, everybody comes to sex from a different place.
Sure.
Some people are dealing with ED or delayed ejaculation. Others want to figure out how to get their wives to give them oral pleasure. Others are looking for sex positions. It's just techniques or understanding the female anatomy or words of seduction or any number of things. And so over the last 15 years, I have written about it all, and that's where you'd find it, at personallifemedia.com.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that we'll put that in the program notes and make sure that people can find you there.
Sounds good, Orest.
So Susan, I want to thank you for coming on the program and talking about the importance of touching. And there's more information in the Passion Patch, which you can get by going to the standard.academy/erogenous. And, take your time, guys. Take your time. This is Orest, the official old guy at oldguytalksme.com. Remember, it's all about creating a kick-ass life for yourself and those that you love. And I want you to do several things. One, I want you, first of all, to subscribe, share, rate, and review. And if you give me a bad review, that's fine too. I don't care. I love my trolls. I love you, trolls. I love you, feed you. Especially the more rabid you are, the better I love you. Until next time. Thanks for joining me on this podcast. If you like what you heard and learned, then be sure to do 3 things. 1, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2, share this with someone who may need to hear it also, and it may be your significant other. And 3, review it. Give me a good review. If you didn't like it, give me a bad review. I don't care. Just review me. And be sure to get my free video on 3 ways to get laid more frequently without begging. Opt in at oldguytalks.com. Don't be that guy that just takes in the information. Take action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want.